Hi guys, Mr. Talbot here for you. We're going to kind of do a little rundown, kind of help with counterclaim. This is designed particularly for the Enlightenment essay, but really any project you're doing where you got to get a counterclaim, this stuff can happen. And particularly in a history class, a huge central idea is this idea of historical interpretation, where history is not just, a series of facts that everyone agrees upon. You want to do something with those facts. When you start analyzing those facts and that evidence, people are going to come to different interpretations. They're going to come to different conclusions. We always want our interpretations to be based in evidence, and you'll do that with your counterclaim as well. Core idea, though, is when people are, having these interpretations, there's going to be disagreement. Some historians going to come up with one thing, somebody else going to come with another, and there's going to be all sorts of different positions in between, and that's okay, and it's expected. And learning how to kind of develop some of those claims is going to make you better in not just history, but in beyond. But also, it's going to get you good at analyzing media nowadays to recognize that there's interpretations there. The big thing we're focusing on with this video, and part of this project, one of your cog skills, is the counterclaim. Again, there's going to be those disagreements. Okay, so first off, the number one of the game here, you're gonna have your claim or your thesis, your argument. Hey, like the Enlightenment had a big impact on this revolution, or the Enlightenment was not really all that important to this movement. You're gonna have that claim. To get to the one, all you gotta say is others would disagree. So that's pretty easy. But then we're moving across. We're thinking, okay, why do others disagree? What's some of their evidence that they disagree? And then as you get over to the four, you're going to still keep it clear that these people disagree with you. And here's, so that's what, and then the five, which is what we're shooting for, is you don't just want to like have the counterclaim, these people disagree, here's why they disagree, but I disagree with them. You want to then get into why do you disagree? Why do you think your evidence is more compelling than theirs? And that's kind of getting to that top, that scoring guy. Again, you don't want to just make their case for them. You want to then start attacking their case a little bit, and picking out again, not saying they're wrong, but saying that, here's why your evidence is more compelling. Here's why there's some limitations to their evidence. And so I'm going to look at some examples now and show you kind of, in particular for the Enlightenment essay, how you can work your way across. We're going to kind of work in reverse order of the topics. Remember, you're just doing one of them. But I kind of want to start with ones I think that are kind of the trickier ones to find. So first essay topic was, the last one you could have picked was, how much is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, written after World War II, how much has that had an impact on improving the cause of human rights around the world in more recent times? So again, to have a counterclaim, you've got to start with the claim. So you're going to need to take a side of either the UDHR has had a huge impact or has had a moderate impact in producing and helping with human rights, or the UDHR hasn't done much to help the either one. Don't care which side you take. Either of these two places, places to find your claim. So if you're saying, the UDHR has had a big impact in helping the cause of human rights, so then I would encourage you to check out step 2. What are some of the challenges of the UDHR? Why has it not been as effective as maybe people would have wanted? Okay. The other one, again, if you're saying no, it hasn't had much of an impact, well, if you check out step 4, you're going to look at some examples from the UN of them saying, no, here's how it has improved this cause. So what this will illustrate to you is that it's not 100% effective. It's not 100% ineffective. It's somewhere in between, but you don't want to take it's equal this way and that way. That's a poor argument. You want to get to a point where you're making that it is more effective or it has been less effective. And then supporting definitely your claim with evidence, but also why would people disagree? What's the evidence to the other side? So finding that evidence, okay? But then again, thinking as we get to the very, very high end of the scoring guide, what's the limitation of that evidence? All right, so looking again at the next topic here, next couple of topics actually. So if you pick the feminism one or the modern social justice movements, these are, I think, the two trickiest ones for getting your counterclaim. A lot of historical interpretation, a lot of debate among that historical interpretation. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong place to look. It's going to kind of depend. Do you think that the Enlightenment was important to social justice movements today or not? So when you're thinking about it, if you're saying, yeah, it was important, now you want to find out, okay, what are some other motivators besides the Enlightenment that would inspire it? Is this in reaction to certain stuff, okay? Or is this more economics, basically? No, the Enlightenment's not really connected to money, economics, job opportunity, that kind of thing. which is part of what you will see with social justice and is part of what you will see with the first wave of feminism. So those are some things to kind of be thinking about as you go. But again, if you're taking the Enlightenment wasn't very important to these movements, it was more about economics or whatever, that's completely fine and appropriate. It's a good interpretation to have. But the Enlightenment has had an impact on both of these movements. So then give some examples of how it has. Again, that's if you're taking it wasn't very important. Your counterclaim, though, is that it was somewhat important. Okay, so be thinking about that kind of stuff. All right. Things again, we're going to look at the next couple examples shortly, but I just want to emphasize a few points at this point. All right. I always think of this teeter-totter. Good historical interpretation acknowledges that there's multiple viewpoints, but it also avoids going 100% one side or to the other. Okay. We're not making interpretations over, if an event happened. Okay. When we're making interpretations, we're doing stuff that there is debate over. So recognizing multiple viewpoints and then pointing out limitations of their views, strengths of your views. Okay, why is your evidence more compelling? Why is theirs not quite as good? You're not saying the other side is wrong. You're saying your interpretation is the better interpretation, not that is the right interpretation, that it is the better interpretation. Okay, that's how you make a stronger argument. Okay, final couple. I think these are the abolitionist one can be a little bit tricky so I kind of need some specific examples here of seeing that nuance. Will be a key term. So in the yellow, I've highlighted some things and feel free to pause the video and kind of look over this. The yellow is kind of stuff that, would say this is not connected to the Enlightenment. The green is stuff that, would be more connected to the Enlightenment. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, you've got Frederick Douglass, saying, really the 4th of July is not significant to me as a free black man in 1850s United States, because this is a time that there's still slavery. Clearly, those Enlightenment ideas of all men are critical were not extended to us. So really, Enlightenment doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Abraham Lincoln, though, is saying, we founded the Declaration and we still had slavery, but now we have the chance to get rid of slavery. And this is going to allow us to truly harmonize our Declaration of Independence with what it said and what we're actually doing. So there you can see that Enlightenment connection. That's why that's underlined in green. To the right, the Haitians, remember, first country to get rid of slavery because it was a slave rebellion that led to its independence. We would say, definitely the parts about dying free, guaranteeing freedom, security, protecting property. Those are Enlightenment ideas, very much in that John Locke, natural rights. But on the flip side, we see in yellow that, there's still going to be a connection to France, so there's not that independence necessarily. And we are still going to see that there's going to be kind of a state religion in Haiti, which, again, that's opposite of some of our Enlightenment ideas. Final one, and really I think the most straightforward, if you haven't started the essay, this is probably at this point what I would encourage you to begin with, is the political revolutions. In all likelihood, your best bet is to say that they were inspired by the revolution. But again, if not, there's other arguments you can make for sure. Be looking at causes here in Latin America, again, because we're looking at why were these revolutions fought, which ones connect to the Enlightenment. There's obviously a direct one there. But you could also say that, now there's these economic things as well going on that inspired the revolution. So kind of recapping, and again, I appreciate you hanging out through this whole video. To get all the way across in your counterclaim, first off, you're going to say that there's other viewpoints. That's easy. Don't give away that point. But to have that, you've got to have that claim first. But you're already going to do that because that's another cog skill. You want to tell what the disagreement's about. So, for example, the Enlightenment was important to political revolutions. However, others would say that economics were an important inspiration of the revolution. Boom, I'm at a 2. Some of the economic issues would have been things like unfair taxation. Boom, I'm at a 3. Okay. However, taxation was not the major cause of the American Revolution, and thus I disagree that economics was a major contributor to the revolution. Boom, I've clearly distinguished it. 5, I would say, while the economics were important, we can see within the actual documents of writing that there's many more references to the Enlightenment ideas, such as natural rights, such as separation of church and state, than we see economic references. That's getting to a 5. Okay, and that's something to shoot for. But even if you're not getting all the way to a 5, everyone here can for sure get to a 4. Let me know if you have questions. And we will see you in the next video.